I just had this thing running a few minutes ago. Moved it over here on this side of the building, and then I went to restart it a few moments ago and made a weird noise, and now it won't turn over. I took the spark plugs out and I still can't turn it over even with my hand, so I have to check it out, see what's going on. Well, I took the top off and I still couldn't turn it by hand, but I didn't see any kind of animals or anything in it. But then I saw some shavings down here by the starter, and I realized that the starter gear had come apart. Not come apart, but the teeth came off of it, and they were stuck in there. So as soon as I wiggled it a little bit by hand, I was able to get it to come down. Starter was stuck up in it. I don't know if you can see it, but the teeth are all torn up. So I'm going to pull that starter off and put a new teeth on it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I got a bolt right here I took out easy, but then there's a bolt back here under the flywheel. I'm going to see if I can get it out without taking the flywheel off. Well, it is possible to get it off, but barely. Without taking the flywheel off, that is. As you can see, the teeth are chewed up on it. And this starter has a little ring here. Point to it. Right there. Just like a little compression ring. You got to pop it off of there. So I'll put the camera down and get that off of there and see if I got a gear for it. Okay, I popped that right off of there. Well, took a little force. Now we got this to take off. It just comes right off of here like this. And we have a spring, a little wave washer. Then the gear, and right on it says this side up. So let's see if I've got a new one. This particular starter took a gear with 16 teeth. You notice I marked one of them. I marked that as number 1, and I counted around, and I counted the other one. Well, that might have been the original gear. So once you make sure you got the right number of teeth, and make sure that this gear is this side up, goes right on like this. Now it's just a matter of putting it back together. Okay, once you get the retainer in there, turn it around and around, make sure that it's actually in the groove. Make sure you can't take it off. Basically that just holds the gear from going clear off the end, and this little cup keeps the spring from popping off. Okay, I got that bolt started. I've turned it at least 2 or 3 turns to make sure it is threaded in there correctly. To get that up in there, I had to put some wheel bearing grease to hold the screw up, so I had just barely got enough room to get it on there. And then you also, underneath, I wanted to push on, it sits right up against this little shroud, so you'll have to push that out of the way too. So I got that hardest bolt started. I'm going to put the other bolt in just so I know it's lined up, and then I'll tighten it down. Okay, I've got it all tightened down, but before I put everything back together, I'm going to hit the starter and make sure that it goes around and around and everything's copacetic. I've got the spark plugs out of this thing. It should turn over very easily. Just make sure there's nothing sitting on the flywheel. So here goes. Now it's just a matter of putting the covers back on it, making sure it'll start with compression. Okay, I've got all the screws and bolts back in it. Electrical hook back up. Let's give it a try. Here goes. Okay. Well, I thought I was all finished just when I started it up. It did start up okay, but I noticed that it wasn't charging, and this diode had come unplugged. It was kind of loose, so I plugged it back in and put a tie wrap around it to hold it there. It's got some little teeth, and evidently they're not very strong, so I just added this little tie wrap. And then of course it wouldn't move, and I'd forgotten to take this towing. What it does, it disengages your hydrostatic drive, so that has to be in like that. Now it should move. Once I get it started, this needle should go up a little bit. The battery's not that dead. It should move a little.